Hello, everyone. Welcome to the April edition of the DMI Advocacy Update. I'm Jason Hilstra, president of Downtown Madison, Inc. We're going to talk about pressing issues that are important to downtown and give an update on what's happening in the DMI advocacy world. We have an excellent panel discussion here today to talk about accessibility service project the DMI has been doing in coordination with our great partners at Access to Independence. We are so thankful to have the team from Access here today, Jason Belangi and Carly Major, plus some great friends of ours, the River Food Pantry, who participated in this year's project. And we have Rebecca Bolton, the communications manager, and Helen Osborne Sentis, the director of operations with the River Food Pantry. Before we hear from them, we're going to say a big thanks to our sponsors, our major series sponsor again this year, our great friends at Scenair. Thank you to Chris, Nicole, and the whole team at Scenair for all you do for our community and your continued partnership with the DMI Advocacy Update. We also want to thank Fiore Companies and Hush Blackwell for their series sponsorship as well. Again, thank you to Scenair, Hush Blackwell, and the Fiore Companies for all of your support. Give an update on what's happening in the world of advocacy and DMI. We have a couple of events we ran in late March and early April that are very important for our members. We want to highlight them again because they provide resources for organizations that are in the downtown. First, we partnered with our friends at Madison Central Business Improvement District and Destination Madison on a Connect Community event, which this event was an excellent discussion about immigration rights and resources, a very important topic always, but particularly right now. It was a panel discussion that included Fabiola Hamden with Dane County, Jennifer Johnson with Boardman Clark, and Karen Menendez-Collar with Centro Hispano. This conversation, very important resources for any member, really, is available on Downtown Madison Inc.'s YouTube channel. So if you just go to YouTube and search Downtown Madison Inc., you'll find this discussion. You will also find a discussion with our friends at Milwaukee Downtown. This is our fourth year of our Madison-Milwaukee Downtown Exchange. And we had an excellent national panel of leaders to talk about urban placemaking organizations, urban place management organizations. I can't even get my own terminology right. UPMOs. We had leaders from Dallas, Texas, Memphis, Tennessee, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., and New York City, all led by our consultants, MIG, and the great Kate Jonkus, former head of the Seattle Partnership, and with the mayor's office in Seattle as well. So please join us for that conversation, which is on our YouTube channel. Last up, I was in DC a few weeks ago as part of my role as the International Downtown Association's U.S. Government Affairs Committee Chair. We had about 30 of us from across the country where they're able to visit 80 different senators and representatives to talk about the importance of downtown. I was able to meet with Representatives Fitzgerald, Grothman, Hokan, and Senators Baldwin and Johnson, again, to discuss what's going on in downtown Madison, what's going on in downtowns in general across the country, and to lobby on a few bills, but namely an office conversion bill, a tax credit that we are at IDA, along with several other real estate organizations, is moving forward to try to convert some of this office space that we may no longer use and convert it into housing, namely affordable housing. Without tax credits from the federal government, these projects are very difficult, and hopefully we'll see more of these conversions happening because of this potential legislation if it gets passed here this term. So it was good to be in DC and good to see our colleagues and good to see all of our elected representatives and talk about everything that's happening in downtown Madison, Inc. All right, it's now time to have our conversation. We're excited to have our friends from the River Food Pantry and Access to Independence to talk about a special services project that we ran over the last 6 months in conjunction, again, with Access to Independence. We have Jason Belangi, Carly Major, Rebecca Bolton, and Helen Osborne Sentis here today with us. I'm going to start first question to Jason Belangi. Can you provide an overview of the Accessibility Services Project? How did it start? What are the key elements of the project? And how were businesses selected to participate in this free program for businesses?
Yeah, thank you, Jason, for having us take part in this conversation today. Really excited about it. Really excited about our continued partnership with DMI. So this project began through a grant opportunity through the Wisconsin Department of Health Services. They had a grant opportunity called Livable Communities Grants, which were made available to entities throughout the state to apply to find ways to improve our communities to be more livable for older adults and people with disabilities. And when we looked at that from our organization standpoint, it really fit nicely with the work that we've been doing as an organization. We have an accessibility consultation and technical assistance program that we've been operating now for a couple of years that allows us to work with businesses and organizations to evaluate their physical spaces, websites, events, and their disability inclusion as well to really improve how they provide goods and services through their businesses and organizations. And so when we saw this opportunity, one of the values of the opportunity was to do a partnership and build collaboration and coalition. And our continued partnership with DMI over the years, specifically the Beyond Compliance subcommittee, was a strong reason for us to reach out to DMI and say, hey, this is a really good fit for us, right? DMI has shown its commitment to accessibility and disability inclusion by putting time, energy, and resources into this work. We obviously are working in that space now. Why don't we use this grant as an opportunity to build more visibility about this work, show the importance and the impact of this work, and find a way to provide a value that wouldn't be a cost to a small number of DMI members. And so we did the application, we were approved, and we began that partnership in about mid-2024. And part of that process was to hire our new staff, Carly Major, who's our accessibility service specialist. Carly also had previously to that been involved with the City of Madison and their disability rights work, and then has also been a part of our Beyond Compliance subcommittee. So it was a great fit there. And then in terms of identifying potential members of DMI to work with, we put together, in partnership with DMI, a process to promote this opportunity. And we had 7 different entities apply to take part in getting access to free accessibility services. And so we used a process to really look through each applicant and what they were hoping to accomplish with that work. And we were really pleased to select Union Cab and the River Food Pantry. When we did that, we looked at what services they were looking for, how they intended to really follow through with recommendations, and really overall commitment to that. We were really pleased after connecting with those folks to do that. And so that's really how the process began. And I know we'll talk more about what services were delivered and the impact of those services as we go through, but that really is how this project got started.
Jason, I would love just a little more reference too for some of our listeners about the Beyond Compliance subcommittee, which you've been chairing now for 5-6 years. That's been doing significant work on projects on festivals and events, on the built environment. Why did the Beyond Compliance team that is in partnership with the Disability Rights Commission in the City of Madison, why did they decide that this was an important project to move forward on?
Sure. So yeah, the Beyond Compliance, it was a task force. Now it's a subcommittee with DMI, has a pretty fundamental goal, which is a fully accessible and inclusive downtown Madison for people of all disabilities, all ages, and all identities. And through the work of the subcommittee over the years, we've done various projects, surveying the disability community about what barriers they're experiencing to downtown Madison. We've done guides and trainings around event access, housing and building accessibility, and streetery here in Madison. And so when we talked about this project with the Beyond Compliance Subcommittee, there was no pushback because it fits so much with the work that we've been doing in terms of a project focus to tackle right now small pieces that are existing for barriers for folks with disabilities and use that to build momentum as we continue to scale up our work and improving accessibility. So that subcommittee was very in support, and a number of folks that have been involved in several projects were very aware of what was going on, and some of which were involved in the project too.
Thank you. I would love to turn to the team from the River Food Pantry, Becca and Helen, about the project that you all worked on with Access to Independence and DMI. And what have the impacts of that project been for the River Food Pantry?
Yeah, thank you, Jason. So when we received the email from DMI about this opportunity to apply for a grant to work with Access to Independence, we jumped on it. We were really excited about it. It was super relevant because we had actually been looking into different companies that provide accessibility services like nationwide, and they were way out of our budget as a nonprofit. And so having the opportunity to receive accessibility services for free from an actual local partner who's right here in our community was like the perfect combination. So we're really grateful for all of the support from Access Independence, DMI, and just to be able to build that relationship as well over the past few months. But yeah, so there were several opportunities that we could apply for support with. And so we kind of took advantage of almost all of those, I think. So we received training for our staff on accessibility. We got an evaluation on our current services at the river and how accessible those are, what we can do to improve those, as well as looking at the new building that we're constructing and how do we implement those accessibility and inclusion features now, like as it's being built versus going back later. And then they also took a look at our website and did an evaluation on that as well, and provided some really thorough, comprehensive reports on all of those areas for us to look through as a team and start tackling.
Now, Helen, I love that you, as director of operations, the impact that this services can provide. How have this project been, how's it helped your operations, right? Moving forward now, but also, of course, in the future, because you have an amazing new facility that's getting built as we speak.
Yeah, well, again, thank you so much for this opportunity. As Becca shared, we were really excited when it was presented to us as an opportunity and when we were able to move forward with it. And working with Access Independence has been really helpful in several ways. As Becca mentioned, when we had the group here to present to staff, it was really helpful because, we as humans, we all know our life through our own experiences, and that influences our decisions. But as humans, we all have different experiences. And so having Carly and the team here to teach us and remind us that, just because I can reach, the hand dryer in the bathroom doesn't mean that somebody in a wheelchair would be able to reach the hand dryer in the bathroom. Things like that. One piece that really stuck with staff from that training was using person first language. Some people had been introduced to it and had some training and practice with it, but it was new for some other staff as well. And again, just, and that, that language can also change the mindset of, how we approach our work and the folks that we are both working for and serving and working with volunteers. And then, looking at their recommendations for some adjustments that we can make. We'll look internally at, okay, what changes can we make right now? And then looking at our new building, I'm actually going to pass the recommendations on to the team who's leading the construction and see, all right, what adjustments are possible at this point, and what can we do to adhere as much as possible to the recommendations.
Well, that last part, all of it was great, but the last part in particular, Helen, because that's the work that the Beyond Compliance subcommittee did a couple of years ago, right, Jason, to actually work with the built environment to make the changes before the building happens. It's just so much easier to make these buildings accessible, and let's just call it what it is. It makes it better for everybody, right? If you do a building correctly with intentional design and universal design, it can really make a difference. I'd love to talk about Union Cab. Unfortunately, we don't have a representative from Union Cab here today, but Carly Major is here, who did help with their project. Carly, Union Cab was the other organization within DMI that was able to take part in these services. Can you discuss their project and what impact it had on Union Cab?
Absolutely. So there were a couple of components of how we interacted with Union Cab. One of the areas was for their website and how their customers, how their clients are able to interact with their services through bookings, through making sure that they can get a consistent ride. And a large part of the disability community who needs assistance with transportation does rely on Union Cab and on cab services for transportation. So it was a real honor to be a part of that program. So we helped look from each step of the way, accessing the website, making sure that like from start to finish, people can access their rides in the most accessible way possible. We also were able to do a training for Union Cab as well, which was a really special and very intimate experience. It was it was a room that was just ready to engage. We walked in, there was a lot of conversation. The way that I like to structure my training is based on the people that are in the room. So I went in, brought the slides, brought the enthusiasm, and was able to tailor it for the experience we had there. We were able to engage in really rich discussion around similar topics to what Helen mentioned with, person first versus identity first language and the benefits of both, as well as real life experiences of what it's like to be working call center and interacting with people. And like someone like myself, I am terrible at directions. You tell me to go to the northwest corner, I have no idea what you're talking about. But you tell me go by that big rock over by the lake, I got that. So recognizing that everybody has different styles, everybody interacts differently, and especially during stressful situations like I need to get to an appointment and I cannot find my cab driver. How do we stay calm? How do we engage and make sure that everybody ends up feeling happy and comfortable? And sometimes that's just a little bit of self-awareness. Sometimes those are communication tweaks, and sometimes it's just learning stuff that just completely, missed one's radar. So that was a really rich discussion and a really positive experience.
It seems like it was a positive experience. I'd love to hear from Becca, from Helen, from Carly as well. What are the key takeaways that you learned from this that maybe we could share with other businesses that might be interested in moving forward with this work as well?
I can really, I think, speak to the website evaluation portion. As the communications manager, I really, really appreciated whoever took so much time looking through so many pages of our website and putting together really good findings, solutions, and examples, and really clear, easy to understand steps on changes that need to be made that I wouldn't have otherwise known about necessarily. So, the team at Access to Independence looked at how our site is structured, the content itself, how we use like headings and lists, links and tables, and forms and color contrast, and gave really clear steps on changes to make that are most of them are pretty simple to change, but I think that they're going to make a really big difference in someone else's ability to find the information that they're looking for. So I think the like overall takeaway from that was just it's worth it to work with somebody who can really explain all of this to you in such a clear way, and take the time and energy to invest in making those changes if it can really help improve someone's life and their ability to access the food pantry services.
And on the operations part of it, like Becca said, it is making sure that we can, include as many people as possible, however they want to be included in our services to the community. A lot of the recommendations for us were focused on, since in our current building, it's staff and volunteers inside, and all of our services happen outside of our building. So a lot of the focus in our current building was with thoughts about volunteers And so making sure that we're being as intentional as possible to include as many people who want to help serve our community through the river, to make sure that we are able to have them here.
Yeah. And from my end, one of the great joys of my job is getting to advocate for a great many type of people. A lot of time with the ADA and with accessibility, a certain type of person might come to mind for folks, but there is such a wide spectrum of all of us out here. And one of the great perks of working for Access to Independence is that many of us do have disabilities at the organization. So we both have our own rich life experiences, as well as the wealth of information of all of the people that we serve, to share perspectives, to share things that might not have been known otherwise. And I really loved the opportunity to go into spaces and be able to share this information with people, have, like I had mentioned, those really fruitful discussions and taking feedback to how to make it better each time so that it can serve each organization in the way that they need it. Yeah, that it was a really great honor.
Jason, Access to Independence does amazing work. What can our businesses, our members that are part of our organization, how can they learn more about and potentially sign up for accessibility service programs offered by Access to Independence?
Definitely. So folks can go to the Access to Independence website. We have a page specifically for our accessibility services. I'm sure we'll have that link included with the posts for the video for today, and we can direct folks there. One of the things that I was going to note too, that when Becca, Carly, and Helen were all speaking, one of the things that you didn't hear was a goal of compliance, right? The goal was about inclusion, making sure people who want to use and access services and get the support that they need to the critical support that the river provides in our community, that how can we make sure nobody's left out, nobody's excluded. And so I think businesses can think about that too, that this is not about just meeting a compliance mandate. This is about opportunity, especially if for a for-profit business. Who in the community is not able to access your goods and services because your website, your physical space, how you offer those goods and services? And you often don't know what you don't know. And so there's a real value to saying, help me know who I'm excluding from my business so I can have more folks who can access it, which is good for my business, right? That's more people using my goods and services as a business owner. So that's what I'd recommend to folks. And again, you can access it through our website and give us a call. We're happy to chat about it. Always willing to discuss a proposal or a consultation opportunity with any business in our area.
And certainly this was a grant, from the state, which we're very thankful for those funds. So not River nor UniCap had to spend any of their own money right on this project. And admittedly, DMI and Access to Independence are looking at new grants and other sources of funding to help continue to move this program so we can offer this to more of our members and continue with this important work. I just want to say a huge thank you to Becca, to Helen, to Carly, and Jason for joining us today to talk about this important project. We really appreciate it. Thank you as well for joining us. And lastly, thanks to our sponsors, Sinair, Fiore Companies, and Hush Blackwell for your support of the Advocacy Update. Hopefully we'll see you downtown sometime soon. Have a great day, and thanks for all the support.